These are my favorite quotes from Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit by Stephen Pressfield. So he really lays out his thesis for this book on page 4. He starts by talking about how in school, you're kind of taught that people want to read your shit. They want to listen. Your teachers read your essays and your dissertations and give you feedback. In the real world, however, no one is waiting to read what you've written. Sight unseen, they hate what you've written. Why? Because they might have to actually read it. He said it's not that people are mean or cruel, it's just that they're busy. And when you understand that nobody wants to read your shit, you develop empathy, which I think is super important, especially for young people just starting out, especially for me just starting out. Like, I really had to learn just what kind of power dynamic I was in, which is I am all the way down here and you, the reader, are not in the picture. And I'm like shouting up at you, trying to get your attention. And whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm writing, whatever I'm creating, better be fucking good. Otherwise, I'm wasting your time. On page 31, he talks about what happens when you try to force it. When you try too hard, you have bad ideas. When you work mechanically, you have bad ideas. When you follow formula, you have bad ideas. When you're desperate or panicky, you have bad ideas. This is something that I definitely noticed in any creative job that I've had, where they want to make you sit in a chair for 8 hours a day and just produce. That the stuff that I produce kind of sucks, because the muse isn't stupid. Like, she knows when she's being used for nefarious purposes, and the output tends to be kind of just whatever the low-hanging fruit, whatever the easiest answer is, whatever pops into your head first, that's usually what you end up going with, and it kind of sucks. Another one of the sections I've really enjoyed is when he starts talking about fiction, and how fiction a lot of times feels more like truth than the actual truth does, because we think in terms of stories, we think in terms of feelings, and so fiction is almost like a language that speaks to our memory, more so than just listing all the things that happened in your day. He also talks about writing nonfiction as if it's fiction. Write it with a protagonist. Write a 3-act sort of, setup, an escalation, a climax, which is definitely something I'm going to try to implement in my writing more. Last quote I really love. It's him talking about, like, what is an artist? He says, the artist enters the void with nothing and comes back with something. Her skill is to turn off the self-censor. Her skill is to jump off the cliff. Her skill is to believe. Love this book. Check it out. Everything Stephen Pressfield does is awesome. Nobody wants to read your shit.